Oh,
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our mindfulness series. This is the VWC, the Veterans Writing Community. I am Delynn Martineau, and I'm a rhetoric and writing instructor at UCCS in Colorado Springs.
I'm Lacey. I'm going to be, I'm Lacey, and I'm going to be running tech tonight. And now, wait, there we go. That one.
right. My name is Marty, and
over there.
I also teach at UCCS, and I'm happy to be here and talk about mindfulness in so many different ways over the past couple of weeks. So thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you back.
Yeah, this will be fun.
We're super lucky. We appreciate you, Marty.
Wow, thank you. Appreciate all of you.
Oh. Well, let's get some housekeeping and expectations out of the way really quick. So if everyone would have a notebook and pen ready, we do a few short writing exercises, one 5-minute one and two 10-minute ones. We have ours, bam, right? And our check-in question for this evening is, what is your favorite place to visit? So let us know in the comment section what your favorite place to visit is, and we will just address those comments as they come in. Do be aware that if you do comment on any of our pages, we may discuss, and we do appreciate the input. So just come hang out, interact with us.
Yeah, we like to involve people in conversation. So the more people we have, the better it'll be.
Mm-hmm. It's always better with more people.
That's right. It's a party.
Yeah. So a little disclaimer, we're going to be talking about writing as being therapeutic, but we are not therapists, so we cannot replace therapy with what we're doing here. Don't be afraid to post any questions or comments in our comment section during the video. It doesn't interrupt us at any point. So we'll just address everything as it fits into the video. So just whenever the mood strikes you, throw your comments up there. And don't forget to hit that hashtag replay if you guys are joining us after the fact. And we appreciate that. Thank you. We did want to address one question that came up in one of our previous video series. And which series was that, Delynn?
It was last October, and it was the third one in the series called Rough Language. When we did it on cadences, and you and Siren, both drill instructors, were talking about cadences. And there was a question that came up right at the end of the broadcast that we ended up missing. So you want to...
Yeah, so the question was, can cadence control life outside of military service? So that's a really good question from one of our viewers. I think, and again, this is my personal opinion, so it doesn't reflect the views of the group, but from all the research that I've done with cadences and how that can connect to different aspects of your life, I think it's possible that it could. But then again, nothing controls your life unless you allow it to, right? So bearing that in mind, there are some effects that cadences have that are very systematic in the way that we deliver them. There are certain cadences that address difficult topics that just kind of bring those things to light and get soldiers used to those difficult topics, and it kind of normalizes everything. So, yeah, if that kind of makes sense. And I hope that answers your question. If not, ask more questions. I'm happy to talk cadence.
And let us know in the comments if that was helpful, so we know we're on the right track. So Marty here is our special guest this month, and all month long we've been talking about mindfulness. We've talked about mindfulness in the body and mindfulness in emotions. So you want to kind of recap what we talked about and explain the benefits?
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for having me for the past 4 weeks. It's been a lot of fun and really exciting. And, it's really beneficial, mindfulness. So it really helps to practice it. And so the first week, what we did was talk about what does it mean to be mindful? We spoke about the definitions of mindfulness, how it came about, and some of the background. The second week, we talked about mindfulness and the body and how it relates to our bodies and how it appears in our bodies. And the third week last week, we talked about mindfulness and emotions and how emotions, show up physically sometimes, and how you can practice and use mindfulness as a way to guide different emotions that come up while you're living as a human being. And so this is a very interesting practice to connect your mind to your body and your body to your mind, and to hopefully help you cope with anxiety, depression, all different types of issues that come up physically and emotionally in our everyday lives. And we've spoke last week about anxieties, and it could be something as small as, where did I leave my keys? And I think I've lost my keys, to something else that's more major than that. But on that scale, mindfulness is always going to be a great way to cope with how you're feeling. So,
Yep, for sure. Awesome. Yeah, so and we'll continue some of that conversation tonight too, and kind of bring up the parts of the brain and talk about how they communicate with each other. And but first, I think we ought to do our first warm up 5-minute sprint.
Yes, I think that is a great idea. Get those posts. I'll get those prompts posted. Lord, everything's fine, guys. I'm gonna have a
Okay,
moment. All right.
So for this sprint, remember sprints are when we call them a sprint because it's kind of like a sprint, like when you're running, is once you start, you don't stop until you finish the race. A writing sprint is kind of the same way. You keep writing until the timer is up, and you don't stop, you don't read, you don't go back and correct, you don't edit. You just keep the pen or pencil moving until the timer is up, and whatever comes out, comes out. We give you a couple of prompts just as a starter, and this we try to do kind of a heavy and a light, so you have your choice. But this one, the first one, is specifically for veterans. What aspects of your military training linger into your civilian life? And if you never have served in the military, then you might think about job training or some of the things that you learn to do with really intense training of some kind. And then the other one is kind of lighter. What does color taste like? I thought that might be kind of fun to think about. So,
Interesting questions. I like it. Well, I'll get 5 minutes on the clock here, and if you guys are ready, I'm ready.
let's do it.
We have 1 minute left. 1 minute left. Go ahead and start wrapping up the sentence you're working on and make your way back to us.
And that list inspired, I started out with a list, and the list inspired a story. So
That's
not
what
all,
happens.
not all writing happens in sentences, right? Okay, so we're going to do things a little bit differently, I think, with the next sprint. So just be kind of open-minded about how we're going to do this, because I'm going to walk you through the next one kind of in a different way than we normally do them. So just be ready for anything. Over the last week, Marty and I have been talking about mindful communication and how to be aware of, conversations that you're having in the moment, and how to handle different situations. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. In a couple of our meditations, we've tried to do a focused meditation. I think that might have been 2 weeks ago. And the focused meditation hones in on the fact that your brain, even as you are right there in the moment, present, talking to somebody or listening to somebody speak, your mind wanders, and that is such a natural aspect of your brain. And we've practiced mindfulness and how to quiet that part of your brain and how to hone that in. And that's an important key part of mindful communication, thinking about rhetoric, thinking about body language, being in your body at that moment. And as rhetoric teachers, Dylan and I have discussed with our students how much body language comes into play when you're communicating with one another, especially if you're giving a speech or if you are in an interview. Sometimes our bodies naturally react to those situations. So if you're in an interview, perhaps you feel a little nervous, and maybe your leg is jumping up and down, or maybe you feel for some reason you need to guard yourself, and you find yourself doing crossing your arms or doing something like this. And when you become aware of what's going on with your body, that's a practice of being mindful and becoming aware of, I'm here, I'm talking to somebody, my body language is not being very open. Identify why your body language is tense. And then once you, again, become aware of what's going on with your body, acknowledge it, and practice some mindfulness meditation. And eventually, you can begin to loosen up in that moment. And we see this even in our little meditations when we're here online, as just an easy, take a deep breath in, realize that your eyebrows are, scrunched, or that your shoulders are super tight, and just coming to the realization that, oh gosh, my body's a little tense right now. That would help you in your mindful communication, body-wise. And perhaps even when it's your turn to reciprocate the conversation and it's your turn to talk. Delynn, do you want to talk a little bit about what you have planned for us today?
Yeah, so we've done a couple different kinds of of meditations. And so I thought maybe we would try a body scan meditation. And I have to confess, it was my first time leading a meditation in the last round. And we really kind of probably should have done a body scan last time because it was for, mindfulness, and linking it to the body and stuff. But this is good anytime. I think my favorite time to use a body scan meditation is when I can't sleep. If I wake up at 2 a.m. and I cannot get my mind to quit running like a hamster wheel, then I try the body scan, and it really works. But before we start, I want to put up that emotions chart again. And I want our viewers to take a look at those feelings. And remember, this is for kids, so it's very simple, but that's the whole point, is just to see if you can pinpoint how you're feeling right now. And if you don't see how you feel on this chart, just write it down in a separate space, in your writing space. And then we'll take another inventory when we're done, and we'll see how you feel, see if you feel any differently. And remember, our job is not to evaluate, I feel better, I feel worse, I feel, it's just to notice. This is how I feel before I started. This is how I feel when I'm done. So we're going to do a body scan meditation. So, and I've got 2 willing participants here. So if you're following along and watching this on the replay, make sure that you are, hitting that hashtag replay so we can keep track of you. Okay, first thing we're going to do is take 3 really deep breaths in to relax. 4 counts on the in and 4 counts on the out. Ready? And you can feel your body start to relax. Just remember, since this is a body scan, we'll take the body one step at a time. But just think about, in with the good feelings, out with the tension, and see if that sort of helps you. So if you want to, you can do this with your eyes open or closed, whichever way you're more comfortable. If you'd rather have your eyes open, then they should be kind of half lidded and sort of not focused on anything. You're welcome to take your eyes off the screen and focus them at the floor or at your desk. And we're going to start with your head. So think about how the top of your head feels right now. Moving down to the face. How does your face feel? Remember to relax those wrinkle lines in your forehead and relax your eyebrows, your jaw, your tongue. Moving down to your neck. Notice how your neck feels. If you have any tension that you're holding in your neck, think about that. Relax your shoulders, kind of drop them down, and feel your breath as it comes in and out. Your shoulders should rise and fall naturally with your breath. Think about your arms, your upper arms, where they are next to your body and how that feels. Are they warm? Are they cold? Are they tingly? And then take your feeling down to your lower arms. Evaluate your hands. And then your fingers. And then think about your upper back. And relax with each breath. Think about your lower back. How does your lower back feel? Try to sit up straight and make your spine kind of aligned. And then think about your stomach. Take a big, deep breath. And just feel how your abdomen expands and contracts with your breath. How does your pelvis feel? How do you feel? How does the chair feel? Is it hard or soft? Is it straight? Is it padded? And then bring your attention to your upper legs, your thighs. Are they touching each other or are they not? Think about your knees and how they feel in the backs of your knees, moving down to your lower legs, calves, your shins. How do they feel? And feel your feet, and finally your toes. And wiggle your toes a little bit. And then scanning back up, think about your feet, think about the tops and the bottoms of your feet. What are your feet touching right now? Moving back up to your lower legs, your knees, your upper legs, your pelvis, your abdomen, your lower back, your upper back. And remember, all you're doing is scanning. You're not evaluating. Bring your attention to your fingers, your hands, your lower arms, your upper arms, your shoulders, your neck, your face, and your head. Take one more deep breath. And open your eyes. And you're done. Now, John Kabat-Zinn, who is kind of the godfather of mindfulness, has kind of invented this form of body scan meditation. And his form takes 45 minutes. So he recommends no less than 45 minutes. So this was just kind of a taste of how it works. That was a 5-minute meditation. And it did move kind of fast. But think about how that felt. And because you can always do it when you're laying in bed at night and you can't sleep, you can always start with the top of your head, move down slowly through your body, doing an inventory. How does your body feel against the mattress? How does the sheets feel against your skin? Is it cool in your room? Is it warm? Is the fan blowing on you? You know, just notice the sensations around you and work your way through it. So let's put up that chart one more time and see if you feel any differently. So what do you think? Any change?
I wasn't really thinking about how much my body hurts today. I've been working very hard this week. And it's fine. It brought attention to it, but it was just funny that that's what popped into my head to me.
Yeah, well, that's one of the ways he has clients that deal with major chronic pain. You know, people who have fibromyalgia and major chronic pain, arthritis, things that hurt all the time. He recommends mindfulness and then just working through that pain. You know, noticing it, being aware of it, trying not to evaluate it.
Or push against it.
Or push against it.
Right, you got to ride the pain.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So keep going with that idea.
You talking to me?
Yeah. Are you talking to me?
You're talking to me? There is something that I have to find the exact quote here in my stuff, but the essence of it is acknowledging whatever your body's going through, identifying what your body's going through, know that it's normal, know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's very common, and just give yourself some grace. And riding through the pain or anxiety, this isn't a cure. It's a way to cope. That's what mindfulness is, and it's a way to cope with your symptoms and identify what's going on. But here it is. It says you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So we have waves of pain. We have waves of sometimes anxieties that naturally just come, just like waves in an ocean. So understanding that and just knowing that you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf and you can learn to ride with that through mindfulness. So
That's awesome.
Really
emotions
like
are
that.
meant to move. Yeah.
Let's do another sprint. I've got something I want you to try with this. So it's kind of mindful sprinting. It's a different format. It's by Linda Berry. She wrote a book called Syllabus, and in this book, it looks hand drawn, and it is hand drawn. But this is actually not my book. This is hers. But what she suggests is that you turn your journal to 2 clean open pages, because we're going to do one half of the exercise on one page and one half on the other page. So find the next 2 clean open pages in your journal. And we're going to kind of do this in 2 5-minute chunks. Okay, the first one we're going to do some thinking, and then the second one we're going to do some writing. So on the right-hand page, I want you to number 1 through 10, skipping every other line. So you can go ahead and pre-number 1 through 10 on every other line. And on the left side, we're going to do a spiral. So right in the middle of the page, make a dot. A big dot. Not a huge dot, but a big one. The spiral we're going to make is going to look like, if I can get it in the camera, right there. It's going to look like that when you're done, hopefully. The idea is to start with a dot and spiral a line around it. And keep it going as I'm talking. Okay, this is an exercise both in relaxation and concentration. Your task is to get the lines as close together as possible without letting them touch. And this is the funny part. She says, if they touch, you get electrocuted. So go ahead and start your spiral.
Well, now I don't want to.
Yeah, if you get electrocuted, do not jump. So go ahead and start your spiral. And while you work on your spiral, try and relax. Remember how that meditation felt. Try and relax your face and your shoulders. Put all the attention in the tip top of your head. Move it to the center of your forehead. Then the bridge of your nose, your nostrils, your upper lip, your jaw, the back of your skull, the nape of your neck, your throat, and remember, we're being mindful. You're just drawing a line. You can't mess it up. It's going to be perfect no matter how it turns out. Move your attention to your shoulders, your collarbone, your sternum, your shoulder blades, your rib cage, all the way down your spine to the base of your spine, and hold it there. Remember, just being present in the moment. Now your belly, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves, your ankles, your feet, the soles of your feet and your toes. Now bring your attention to your upper arms, your forearms, your wrists, your palms, and your fingers. I want you to think back to your early life. Just picture something from that time and then move back through your life using the first 10 memories associated with a word that I'm about to say. I'm going to say a word, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to use the next page where you have your number through 10. Your word is car. So I'm going to follow the timer, and I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds, well, maybe 20 seconds per number. And I want you to write as much about a certain memory of a car from your childhood as you can until I say the next number. So number 1. Number 2. Change memories. Think of a different car. Number 3. Remember, if you end up with just a list with not a lot of details, that's okay. Number 4. And don't worry about make or model. Think about cars that held significant points in your life, or things things these cars did. Number 5. Number 6. And remember, these don't have to make sense to anybody but you. Number 7. Number 8. Could be a car somebody else owned in somebody else's family. Could it be a car you owned or your parents owned, or brother and sister? Number 9. And number 10. Now read back over your list of 10 things and circle one that has potential. and then turn the page and title the page with that circled item. And then take the next 5 minutes to write. Got about 30 seconds. All right, finish up your thoughts. Dot your I's, cross your T's. So what'd you think about this new writing experience? It's a little bit different than a normal sprint. What'd you think?
I really like the primer beforehand. It gets me, I don't know, just thinking about a lot of different stuff. So
I've never done an exercise with the circle and the spiral or the spiral. It was very different. It was like going through a guided meditation, and I liked your guidance while we were doing that. It was
Yeah,
helpful.
I just read it right out of the book. So like I said, this is from Linda Berry's syllabus. So if you want to get a hold of this, it's awesome. If you teach, you need this book. Linda Berry is a cartoonist and an art instructor at New York University, and she also has a huge amount of knowledge in neuroscience. So she is definitely worth your time. She has lots of good books too. So I wrote about a car my brother had, a 64 Buick Skylark that he had when I was growing up. And one weekend he was working on the brakes. He loved that car. I mean, loved it. He was working on the brakes and it slipped out of gear and the passenger door was open and it rolled down the driveway and tore the passenger door right off the car. He was devastated.
no.
It was awful. We still can't talk about it.
You just brought it up. Goodness.
So, yeah. So, does anybody have anything else they want to share? Or?
I'm kind of wondering if anybody else in the audience who's watching or is watching this later on, #replay, nameless plug. So I didn't, my mind kind of wandered from cars to like different types of transportation. Like I thought of different like bus rides with my mom when I was younger, and like the bus ride to basic training and like plane rides and things like that. So, I mean, I think I did not follow directions very well. I did not. I did on the same page, and I worked around it. It's fine.
That's okay. It just goes to show that you know when you free write like this, your brain goes wherever, and you should just let it.
Right.
You know?
I kind of like that freestyle way of going about all of this. I don't know. My mind does wander, and at the end of the day, I need to wind down anyway. So I need to let it, and I make myself feel bad about it sometimes. You know, that's not unhealthy.
And that's one of our talking points for today too, is thinking about writing as a way to communicate. Writing is communication. And there are different types of writing out there. There are text messages that we do every day, emails that we read or send every day. But this is such a valuable exercise. Journaling, it can be very therapeutic. Stream of conscious writing, similar to a little bit of what we did. We had some guidance today, but like you mentioned, Lacey, there was a little bit of a freestyle to it. And we had a little bit of a prompt and just a timer and some guidance is really helpful. People have also written letters that are never sent. That's another activity that people do in order to get all of their thoughts out. And this is what I tell my students, and little do we realize that it's a mindfulness activity, is you have so much going on in your head. Like we've mentioned, your brain is thinking about tomorrow, your brain is thinking about your grocery list. Take a moment to just get it all out of here and onto the page so that it can exist somewhere else and not clutter your mind, especially when it comes with writing about emotions or writing about frustrations or even just writing a prompt about a car that you've driven in your life. This can be very therapeutic. I'm not a therapist, but I know that much.
Well, we are going to start next week reading a book by James Pennebaker called Opening Up by Writing It Down. And that's another one I think that's really going to help open our understanding of how writing does work to help purge some of those things in your mind. You said letters never sent. I kind of like that. What I've been doing lately to sort of deal with some of the more emotional things in my life is I have imagined that the person is sitting right across from me. And if they're sitting right across from you, what would you say to them if they were sitting right across from you? And then just write it down. And so it's kind of like a letter never sent. And you can just, stick it in a drawer. Nobody has to read it. Nobody has to see it. Nobody's going to check your spelling.
Right.
But it does make you feel better because then you're right, it's not stuck in your head.
Right. And if you ever do have a conversation with whoever you're sending a letter to, all of that reactionary words and phrases has already been dealt with, has already been said in your own privacy, in your own journal, in your own time. And another aspect of that too is just give yourself permission and give yourself space on the page. Nobody has to see it.
Right. We talked last time about the amygdala, that basal part of the brain that is your impulse and your fight or flight, your quick to act, quick to judge, quick to do everything, impulsive part of your brain versus the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking rational part of your brain. And what writing does is it pulls you from that impulsive part of your brain, especially if you're angry or really strongly emotional. It can help you pull into that more. I mean, we would much rather solve problems with the front of our brain when we can really think about it and use logic than to react with that basal brain. And so writing really helps you get that sorted out. And especially if you're really mad or you have a lot of emotions stored up, or if you have something really important that you need to say, it really helps to write it out in advance so that you don't pop off or snap at somebody. You're nodding like this has happened to you before.
Yeah, I use this. One of my dearest friends, Emma, was helping me to process some stuff that was going on in my life that I was getting pretty emotional about. And she's like, well, when you need to have a hard conversation, it really helps take some of the unneeded emotion out of it. If you can write down a list of the points that you want to bring up. So I like to challenge myself to have difficult conversations because I feel like it's important for good communication. But I also know that I am quite emotional. I can get very, we'll say, passionate about some certain things, and just I put way too much emphasis on things that don't necessarily matter, and it can take away from the importance of the conversation. So having those points to refer back to is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that we had a conversation over the last couple of weeks. We talked a couple times about dealing with coworkers and being able to have hard conversations with coworkers. That's been Marty and I deal. Part of what we require our students to do is to meet with us one-on-one, and so that's a requirement for every student who takes the courses that we teach. And so they have to come to our office and they have to have a conversation with us. It's part of their grade will be reduced if they don't do it. That's how important we find it to be. But getting them to open up and getting them to be comfortable enough to communicate, that's another thing I think mindfulness comes into really well. Is when you've got that difficult conversation to have with a coworker, or you're gonna have a student who's particularly resistant. being mindful of, how am I feeling right now? Where am I right now coming into this thing? And then taking a few deep breaths, having them come in and sit down, and then making them feel comfortable by showing them that you're open to whatever they have to say. And it's hard not to be emotional. It really is.
Right.
But we try to think it through.
Right.
So
I agree 100%.
awesome. I think we ought to sprint again. What do you think?
I think so.
Now that we've caught our breath.
Yeah, so we can use those sprints, the prompts that you created in the last sprint. You've got 9 other ones to choose from if you would like, or if you want to, we've got 2 new ones for you to consider. Thinking about communication. So you can write about a person you have a hard time understanding, and maybe write about some roadblocks to understanding them. Or if you want one on a little bit on the lighter side, what's a hobby that you wish you could start or get back to? What about that hobby brings you joy? And here we go.
Sorry about the doorbell. Time starts now. We have just under 1 minute left. Go ahead and wrap up what you're working on and come back to us.
All right. That was a good one. It's like taking a big breath, right? Like it's like making your brain take a big breath, I guess. So we talked a little bit about that basal brain, that amygdala basal brain versus the prefrontal cortex, and reacting in the moment logically with that prefrontal cortex instead of impulsively with a lot of emotion. And I think mindfulness really helps us. If you just, it's a very simple concept. Keep yourself in the moment. Keep yourself in the present. And that can kind of help with that. So
I agree.
we were talking earlier about a gratitude exercise. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do. When I first took a mindfulness course a couple of years ago, I think this was the most useful meditation, and it's a loving kindness meditation. And before, all the other meditations we've been doing have really been beneficial for your brain, your body, and everything else. But this is more for a an affirmation to yourself. And so I have a list of things that you could say to yourself, and how we practice this in my mindfulness course was to still be in that state where you're sitting down or lying down, and you simply cross your right arm over your body, almost as if you're embracing yourself, and then your left arm, across your belly. And it's almost like giving yourself, a kind, warm hug, or just, feeling that you're alive, you're here, and just being gentle and kind to yourself. And the phrases you can say to yourself and repeat are, may I be safe, may I be strong and healthy, may I be happy, may I be peaceful. And if you say this to yourself over and over, it's just a comforting moment to just give back to yourself, to thank your body for all the work it does, to thank your brain for all of the amazing things it can think of and do, and to appreciate yourself and to give yourself loving kindness and gratitude. Um, I'm going to go ahead and type those sentences out, and hopefully they can get posted over into our chat. But really, these are just self-affirmation phrases that might be helpful for you whenever you just need to give back to yourself. And you can find lots of different affirmations online, like thanking your body for breathing, thanking your body for getting you up in the morning, thanking your legs for walking you over to the kitchen, thanking your taste buds for being able to taste all those different colors we wrote about. Um, so really, it's just a moment to give back to yourself.
And I think that's so important, especially since most of us have been in isolation for the last year. I mean, we've come out of it in the last 6 months, but I was thinking about how helpful that would have been in the middle of the summer a year ago, where I was sitting by myself, stuck in the house, couldn't leave. And it
Right.
would have been really helpful to just remind myself what I'm thankful for.
I love that. Um, so I'm going to post these, and maybe they can get posted somewhere, but they're just little things here that you can say for yourself. So I am just so grateful and honored to have been with everybody and to be with you two over the past couple of weeks. And again, mindfulness is a practice. It's something that you can incorporate into your life. 1 minute a day, build on that, and it's just like going to the gym. Just practice every day or every other day, and really the benefits are, they far outweigh the time it's going to take to practice this. And you can do this almost any moment in your life, when you're laying down, when you're sitting in your car, when you're at your desk at your job and you're aggravated about something. Try a body scan. Try giving yourself some kind affirmations like we just went through today. And just be kind and gracious to yourself, and know that you're a human who's just trying to do your best. So
Yeah.
thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah. And cut yourself a break. I mean, a lot of times I find myself being so self-critical, like this isn't good enough and this is not right and it's not perfect.
Mhm.
And I have to work at it and work at it for as long as it takes until it meets my standard. And I can spend hours doing stuff like that for very little change that probably nobody else even notices.
Mhm.
So being kind to myself in that way and saying, you know what, this is good. It's not perfect, but it's good.
Right.
And so,
And just
and
giving back to yourself, I think, is something we all tend to forget to do. And this is
yeah.
one way we could do it.
Yeah, and that goes into one of our other talking points, which is negative self-talk.
Mhm.
Mm.
There are many moments when I beat myself up and I say, "Oh, come on, Marty, you could have done that, or you should have done this, or you did that terribly, or what's the matter with you?" Right? And that is just inherently common with every single human being. But noticing those thoughts, say, "I hear you, I see you," and try to let that Teflon brain become part of your life. When you practice mindfulness, become aware of those thoughts. Yes, these are negative self talk, but just let it slide off like a Teflon pan.
Or be a duck and let it roll off your feathers.
Yep. And what was the other one? Velcro. What sticks to Velcro?
Oh, negative self talk.
No, the positive self-talk.
Oh, positive self talk.
Yeah, let the positive stuff stick and let the negative stuff roll off.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I just keep getting distracted by Lacey's buff shoulders. She's just got these amazing shoulders, and I'm like,
I've been
no, you're amazing. You're just working hard all day.
well, thank you. Gosh, I have been working hard. I'm happy to have my shoulders back. And it's very hot in my house.
So, do you have some suggestions about what we can do every day, just every once in a while, Marty, about how we can bring mindfulness into everyday actions?
Absolutely. So we all do our common day life chores, like going to the grocery store, driving to work, sitting at a desk maybe. But one of the things we all do is eat. We all eat at some point throughout the day. And this is something that I noticed, and I don't know if I've talked about this before, I might have in the first session, but in my mindfulness course, the very first activity we had was to eat a raisin. And my mindfulness teacher, gave us a raisin and we just ate it. And then she said, "Okay, how did that taste?" And everybody just, didn't really have a reaction. And then she said, "Here's a second raisin. This time, keep it in your mouth. This time, spend some time with it. Think about how it feels in your mouth. Think about what it tastes like, and it really slows your mind down. And thinking about mindful eating. So instead of chowing down in front of the TV, which I'm guilty of all the time,
Same.
perhaps give that time to you to just spend time with yourself and your food and think about where this food came from. What does it taste like? Is it hot or is it cold? We all eat every day, and all you can do is just incorporate some thoughtful, questions about your food. What does it taste like? How does it taste on my tongue? Um, is this nourishing for me, or am I just eating just because there's nothing else to do? And I think Delin has talked to me about this is very common in like a gym or weight class sometimes, or mindful eating, thinking about why we're eating and when we're eating, or are we just eating popcorn just because it's there? Um, so the other thing we do every day is walking around. When you walk down straight to your car or you're walking to your office, take that moment to really feel yourself in your shoes and what does the ground feel like. Think about what the air around you smells like. Is it cold? Is it breezy? And just become more aware and in the moment. And these are things that you could do at least once a day for a minute, if anything.
Yeah, and you can do that body scan while you're walking too.
Mm. Yeah, that body scan is wonderful when you're laying down and your brain is just moving so fast and you can't fall asleep. And Dylan's mentioned this to me before that sometimes when you do the body scan when you're laying in bed, sometimes you just get to your shoulders and you're already knocked out because you're so relaxed. And thinking about relaxing your face and relaxing your shoulders, and all of a sudden you don't even get to do the full body scan because your mind has already calmed down. Um,
Yep,
so,
and if you focus on your breathing, remember focusing on your breathing means you're only focused on that one thing. And
mhm,
so it takes you off the other things that can kind of distract you and keep you awake.
right. And another thing we do, and we've talked about for the past couple of weeks, is breathing. We breathe naturally. We don't have to think about it. Our bodies just do it on our own. And I've said before, imagine if you had to remember to breathe. That'd be terrible. I wouldn't remember for at least a couple
I
of
forget.
months.
Yeah.
Definitely forget.
John
And
John Kabat-Zinn says it really funny. He says if you ever think what it would be like to forget to breathe, and if you forget how important breathing is, just plug your nose and keep your mouth closed, and pretty soon you'll figure it out.
right. And always connecting back to that natural breath. Watch what your body does just naturally. And we've had these guided meditations in the past couple of weeks where we just focus in on that natural part of your body. Let it do what it's going to do and don't fight against it. Ride the wave. And if you like these meditations, please go back and hashtag replay. You guys are so funny and young when you say that. Um, or you know what you could do too is there's plenty of guided meditations on YouTube or just online. And sometimes you can find just the right voice to guide you through the meditation. There's people with different accents online and different cadences. So try to find what's best for you in your own mindfulness practice.
You know, they have those guided meditations on Netflix now too. I think
Did
it's
they?
Headspace has placed some of their stuff on Netflix.
I had no idea. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. As you can see, mindfulness is becoming more mainstream and a part of our lives, which I think is wonderful.
it's important. I mean, it can be really awkward to start practicing, but like it just, I once you start doing it, it starts to feel more natural. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I think of is when I like going out in nature, right? And one of the park rangers last season set up an activity because they were still doing social distancing and all that, but we kept the parks open as a city to try and encourage people to just get outside and keep enjoying life and just you know but there was a mindfulness exercise that she incorporated, and I can't remember what it's called specifically. It's like a Japanese something. Can't remember. Sorry. but it was forest bathing. You go on a hike and they have like little flags where you stop and you listen, what birds can you hear, or you look around and see what types of vegetation's in the area, or like what kinds of smells are around on a certain trail. And like it's just a really peaceful exercise, and but it's mindfulness.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
It's
And
Mhm.
people don't realize they do mindful things every day, you know.
Mhm.
And I think one of the most important lessons is that you can't change the past, and the future is yet to be unwritten. So staying right here in the moment, in the present, is the only choice we have.
mhm.
And it's and so thinking about it with peace and calm and doing the best you can, that's good practice.
Right.
So all right, so we're going to get ready to kind of close it out here. Lacey, would you go over the 4 tenets of the veterans writing community, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So our 4 tenets are something that we like to incorporate into our writing to just kind of give people either a place to start or a place to improve upon their writing, just to kind of hone things in a little bit. And we talk about this in every video, so I'll just kind of breeze right through these. So our first tenet is, who are you writing to, and who is your audience? Because that can make a huge difference in the voice that you use. Like whether you're talking to adults or children or military, civilian, or just a plethora of different things. But who's your audience? So tenet 2 is, will your audience understand everything that you say? And do you want your audience to understand everything that you say? There may be parts of a story that they may be personally important to you, but as you continue on your writing, like maybe there are parts that you that you want to take out because it's not as pertinent to the story, which is actually our third tenet. But that can change your audience's understanding of what you're trying to convey. So again, tenet 3, is the story all there, or are there parts that you've left out? And tenet 4 is, why are you writing specifically about this? What's the significance to you? Why do you want to put this story out into the world? You know, um, but if you're writing it, there has to be a reason, right? So it's some good places to start. Um, and I will pass it back to Delin, and you can talk a little bit about, and maybe about our journal that we do, and the places
Yeah,
that
we have a journal that we publish in January of every year called the After Action Review. I don't have a copy with me right now, but you can visit it on our website. If you want to see it, we've got two versions, two and a half. There's one with Lacey's
I always
artwork right
have
on
it
the
on
front.
my desk.
Um, yeah, so if you have written something that you want to work with and you want to get in touch with us and get some help kind of molding it into something that you would like to publish, feel free to contact us. You can email us at veteranswritingcommunity@gmail.com, right down there. If you want to help us monetarily, we don't ever charge for publication for our veterans, but it does cost us to make paper copies. So you could donate to our Cash App at $Writing Veterans, or you can go to our website at veteranswritingcommunity.com, and of course Twitter at #Writing Veterans. So just remember, with writing, you don't have to share it with anybody. Just the act of getting it from your prefrontal cortex onto the paper is going to make some space in your head, and that'll leave more room for you to sort the things out that you're really thinking about. And getting it out on the page where you can see it sometimes can help you solve a lot of the problems just by reading about them. Writing, I always think about it this way: writing will tell you what it wants you to do with it. So if it says to you, okay, hide this in a drawer, then hide it in a drawer. But just the act of writing itself is mindful because it puts you in the moment. And try reading Like, take, for instance, what you wrote tonight. Take that and set it aside, and then read it in a week or a month or even a year. And you'll be surprised at how your perspective changes when you look at that, because, you've had some time has passed. I also want to thank Linda Berry for her book Syllabus. She's also got a couple other really good books that I use a lot. And John Kabat-Zinn's Full Catastrophe Living, which I'm working my way through. It's a thick one, so I'm working my way through that one. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you would like to find out more from us. We're going to work on getting these 90-minute sessions broken down into sections so that they're a little easier to digest. That's coming soon. But if you found it interesting or fun or helpful, make sure you hit that hashtag replay. And I want to do a shout out to Norma, because Norma caught up with us starting in June, I think, of last year. And she was with us live all through the fall. And then she couldn't catch up with, for some reason, I think she had a schedule conflict and couldn't watch us live, but she has hit hashtag replay on almost every single video since then. So I wanted to shout out to Norma and thank you so much for your enthusiasm and support for us. So after we're done with our session tonight, I have some afterward activities that I would like you to consider. If you're interested in more mindfulness, you can also use those guided meditations that are on YouTube and on Netflix. I also like to use the Calm app, which is why I put that in the comments too. The Calm app is free, but if you the paid version has a lot more content, and they have a lot of really great people that do series of mindfulness workshops that are kind of fun and helpful. But set a timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. The longer you can go, the better. But close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Tell yourself to relax, and then work that body scan from the top down. Release your tense muscles. Focus on your breathing, in for 4 counts, out for 4 counts. And remember, with mindfulness, it's all about that singularity of thought. So if something enters your mind, just gently bring your focus back to your breathing. And when you open your eyes, take note of how you feel. The more you practice it, the easier it gets, and the longer you can focus. And it's not just focusing on that home base or focusing on the breathing that gets better. You can focus on reading, you can focus on driving, you can focus on paying attention and being in the moment better in all aspects of your life by practicing longer and longer meditations. We also encourage that you try a 20-minute sprint as a follow-up for tonight's activities. So if you have something that you wrote tonight that you started that you didn't get a chance to finish, that you spend at least 20 minutes after this is done, working through your thoughts and finishing things out, developing what you started. And then also email us and visit our website for follow-up. Like I said, we really like to work with people one-on-one to work toward publication. And if you're a veteran who is looking at possibly publishing, then we would like to see what you've got. So contact us and let us know. We'd be happy to help work with your stuff. And something that Marty said with the kind of that self-love, that self-care, that loving kindness, I thought it also is good to apply to other people. So especially with communication, even if you don't say the words out loud, if you're looking at someone, you could say, may you be safe, may you be happy, may you be at peace. And so that's what I want to leave everyone with tonight. May you be safe, may you be happy, and may you be at peace. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.